Hey everybody, this Modern Day here. Today, this is going to be part one of a new series that I'm starting that goes over the add-ons slash plugins that I use on a daily basis that I find detrimental to my workflow. For those of you that don't know, by day, I'm a professional branding and headshot photographer. I work with local and small businesses, photographing their employees as well as their products and merchandise. So when it comes to my 3D renders, especially whenever I'm doing photorealistic renders, something that actually helps sell that and makes any render look better is proper lighting. To help me with that, I use a plugin by the company called LeoMoon Studios called Light Studio. So if you go to their website here, LeoMoon.com, and then you go to Asset Store, Plugins, and then you scroll down, you'll see LeoMoon Light Studio. Now, to preface this, I am not affiliated with them. I am not sponsored by them. The $25 price tag that is there, I feel, is completely justifiable with the product that they offer. It also helps the development of future releases of the plugin. Now, with that in mind, if you click on LeoMoon Light Studio, you'll notice here that it says Important Notice. LeoMoon Light Studio, formerly known as Blender Light Studio, is 100% free and open source. You can download and use it without any limitations. So if you don't feel like paying $25 for it, or you want to try it before you actually pay for it, they do allow that as an option. So if you click on the download button here, it's going to take you to their GitHub page. All you'll do from there is click on code and then click on download zip. Once that zip file downloads, you install it just like you would any other Blender add-on or plugin. All right. So we'll go ahead and go back here. I've got a completely black screen here. I do have a mesh in here that is going to be my subject. I always start lighting my scenes completely dark. Personally, one thing to assist with that is if you click background setup, it's going to actually make your background a near black color, set the strength to 100, and then I like to build my lighting up from there. Same way that I would in the studio. I have all the lights, the house lights turned off, and then I start turning on lights one by one and lighting my subject until I get the look that I'm going for. So with that in mind, I'm going to click on Create Light Studio. And then once I do that, it's going to create an empty here. This empty that it's created is going to create wherever your 3D cursor is. So in this case, everything's directly center on the origin, so that's where it's going to put it. This is going to be kind of the control center for all of your lighting and everything going forward. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click on Lights, add a studio light. You'll notice that it adds this light back here. This light is a mesh light. I wanted to bring that up and mention it because that means that it's only going to work in cycles. Currently, Eevee does not support mesh lighting, so unfortunately, until they do, this is going to be a cycles-only lighting setup. I just wanted to preface it with that. That way you guys don't get all your lighting set up and then are like, hey, I want to switch it over to Eevee and see how it looks, and then none of your lighting is working. So with that out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and press 0, go back into my camera view, and then I'm going to click on Light Studio Control Panel. So this Light Studio Control Panel, it normally opens up kind of like this. You can resize it, you can move it around your window and adjust it how you want to. This is your light. If you click and drag this around, it's going to move around freely. Like so, you can click and drag it wherever you want to. So I'm going to set it up here as a rim light. I'm going to press S with the light selected. I'm going to scale it up and move it over here just a tiny bit. Then what I'll do is I'll add another light that's going to add a light back. It always adds it to the front along the y-axis. I'm going to move it over to the left a little bit and add it as a key light, so I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to add one more light and move it over to the right and scale it up just a tiny, tiny bit. We're going to use that as a fill light to fill those shadows in. So this is your typical 3-point light setup that you would use in a photography studio or doing portraiture, things like that. The nice thing about Light Studio is that if I want to check and adjust my lighting, just like I can in the real world, I can turn my lights off. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go ahead and double click on this light and turn off my key light. And then I'm going to double click on this light and turn off my rim light. So now we're looking at just the fill light. So if I come over here and I click on selected light and then click here and I have my lighting here, I can adjust this intensity and build the light the way that I want to build it. I can also go in and change things, like if I wanted to make this a ring light, I can change this mask and it will actually mask it out appropriately. So what we're going to do for now though is I'm going to mute this light as well. I'm going to go back to our rim light so you can actually see what's happening. And then in actual photography, there's something called flagging light. It's where you take like a black piece of poster board or any kind of black material that's not going to reflect or bounce light around, and then you actually block out part of your light so you can control your shadows, the way they fall on your subject and everything like that. The nice thing about Light Studio is you can do the same exact thing. So if I wanted to add a diagonal mask or flag this light diagonally to control how the light falls on my subject, I can do that. You can also take any kind of light and turn it into a ring light by turning up this ring switch, turn it up all the way, then turn up your inner radius, and then turn up your outer radius, and you can control that and create your own custom ring light that way. One of the great things about this as well is you can simulate a bunch of different lighting types. So if you wanted to do a set of LEDs like you would have with video lights or something of that nature, you can easily do that. And you'll notice how it changes the way the light falls on the subject. So if I switch it back to the soft box here, or I switch to this thicker set of arrays where they're closer together, then you get a different type of light fall off on that rim lighting. You can also go in and adjust the colors. So if I wanted to give it kind of a blue color, I can adjust this light intensity or the color intensity and make it as blue as I want to, bring it back off, unmute this fill light, and then I've got that blue key light coming off, and then I've got my two white lights that are my key light and my fill light. So that's super useful. One of the other nice things is if I want to bring this light up and use it to fill over the top, you notice that it's now coming down. I can scale it up, and that'll adjust the brightness that way because it is making the light larger. Or you can, as before, change the intensity and bring that down. Now, since that's affecting it and I'm still not sure, once again, I can double click on that and I can check and see how my lighting looks without it and see what I need to adjust on the fly, the same way that I would in the studio. I can build my light up, set up my rim light, set up my key light. I could have an overhead fill, or I could bring this over to the right and fill it and just fill in those shadows so I don't lose that lighting effect. Zoom in, and you'll notice you get all those reflections, you get the color cast and everything just like you would in a normal setup. Anyways, if you guys like this series and want me to build upon it more over the add-ons that I use, like Hard Ops, Box Cutter, Power Save, Photographer, and everything like that, I'll be more than happy to. Just leave me a comment down below, like this button, and make sure that you subscribe for future updates. And I hope you have a good one.